What's up, family?
What's good, Flex? What's good, family?
Okay, so what's the actual argument today? What's the actual debate point today?
What's up, King Flex? What's up with you, player?
I'm good. How y'all doing?
The argument today is, I'm noticing in our spaces, in our Security Tribe and FBA spaces, we have people that are torn because they have mixed, heritage, and they're actually directing or, taking the conversation away from what it initially started out as, where it was centered on Black Americans gatekeeping, Black American culture, and I'm seeing how a lot of people they're more, making the focal point about your, what is your tribe, right? And just forgetting about, it seems like they want us to just go away from being Black American. This house we built, all this shit that we built, just go away from that and just focus on your tribe. And I'm saying, no, it's not just about being, your tribe. It's about connecting your tribe to being Black American, because how will I know you're a Black American if I don't know your tribe? So yeah, I just feel like, they're hijacking what this movement was about 2 months ago. Like when you was in that space and you was frying motherfuckers up and you was like tearing them, like you was going in on them not being us. That's what this was about. It was about us securing our tribe. And I feel like now, after like the fire has kind of sizzled down a little, you got these tethers trying to shoehorn their way in and take it away from what it was about initially. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the thing is, when we, as foundational Black Americans, the minute we start acknowledging our tribe, because we are a specific tribe and we are a specific ethnic group, and now that we've acknowledged that, you got all of these other people, they've turned into de facto genealogists, they've turned into scientists, they've turned into archaeologists. All of a sudden, they want to start talking about DNA, genealogy, fossils, hair samples, sperm samples. Now they want to get into science. If we get into science, like I said, it's very simple. Everybody's lineage will go back to Europe, Africa, or Asia. That's for everybody. That's too broad. We, as foundational Black Americans, we are a very distinct group. Tribal groups and ethnic groups come about in many different ways. When you look at certain Native American tribes, usually these are different federations of Aboriginal people, Mongoloid Indians, Aboriginal Black Indians coming together and being labeled and named by colonizers to a certain degree. When you look at the Navajo Indians, that's not their real name. That was a name given to them by the Spanish. I think Navajo means thief or something like that. The Creek Indians, and I pointed this out before, there was no such thing as a Creek Indian until the white supremacists saw some Native Americans living by a creek and said, hey, you guys are Creek Indians. There was no such thing as Seminole Indians until the Yamasee and other indigenous people and people who were enslaved went down into Florida, got with the lower creeks, and became the Seminoles. So different ethnic groups form by other groups getting together. We are no different from that as foundational Black Americans. People keep trying to Africanize us, because when you Africanize us, that makes us comparable to other immigrant groups. We are the only non-immigrant group here. That makes us extremely unique. Nobody can compare themselves to us. And when we start looking at just not our African lineage, but our indigenous lineage, that becomes a problem, because now we have a claim to the land that nobody wants to talk about. When we start claiming this land, which is our land, let's be very clear, we're not guests in this country as foundational Black Americans. This whole narrative that we were brought to America, we were not brought to America. We built America. That's a real big difference. That makes us indigenous to the United States, because we built the place, ladies and gentlemen. We are not comparable to any immigrant group. We have a very unique heritage. We are different from other people, and that's just something that they're going to have to deal with. They know that we're different because they have all types of negative and pejorative terms that they use against us. Now that we look at our lineage and our uniqueness as something positive, now we're not letting ourselves be invisible for some type of fake melting pot narrative that we're the only ones upholding. No other group upholds this melting pot diversity narrative than us. We've been holding that up, and everybody has been exploiting that for the last 200 years.
And that goes for those, Central America, South America, those Caribbeans, because I'm noticing now that we're saying we are the indigenous or the Indian. Now you got those tethers from down in the Caribbean trying to shoehorn the same thing the Africans did with Black American. now I'm noticing like they're starting to do with us saying that we're, foundational Black American. They're trying to get in by saying they're indigenous and they're Indian, so they're us now. You know what I'm saying? So we have to actually start, delineating. Like the lines have been drawn, and we're not erasing those lines.
Okay, can we let her speak? Since I'm here. This entire
And this is not just about her, so it's not just about you. So don't make it about you, please don't.
You've mentioned my name.
Let me put some clarity real quick. It's really real quick. The thing is really because of the American Indian thing. They want us to drop Black and just identify as American Indian. And basically, how I see it, it almost is no different from African American. Because if you go American Indian,
at all, bro, at all,
you're lashing on Central America, South America, Caribbean, Islands. No different.
Can I?
Now I'm gonna let you respond.
And that's what I noticed.
Clarity on that. I just want to put that out there, but you can respond though.
All right. I've listened to y'all for the past 15 minutes, okay? All right. When I came into your space, all right, and let me make this clear. Twitter Spaces has been going on since November, all right? Hold on. Let me speak.
You see where it's going, right?
Let me speak. Let me speak. Come on. Let's be respectful. We're going to have a conversation. I made an American Indian room back in November. This is when Twitter Spaces was in beta trial. Wasn't enough people on Twitter Spaces yet because it wasn't on everybody's app yet, right? We was already on Clubhouse doing this stuff. We was already on YouTube doing this stuff. I assisted Big Chief, Top Cats, because like I told him, I have an American Indian story and I do have a West Indian story. Now, I'm going to come around you and talk about my American Indian story. I've always made that my focal point because that's who raised me in this country. My West Indian family are in their country, as they should be. My American Indian story is documented by New York State. We have our own website. Documented. We have our own town. Documented. We are the Puspatuck Indians that mix with the Mohawk. Documented. I wanted to tell my side of my history because a lot of people don't know about the quote unquote Black Indians of New England and how we went through slavery too, and how we went through paper genocide and the land grab too. We went through that too. So my grandmother and her story don't get told either. So what I did was take my opportunity, and right now I'm pregnant, okay? So I really didn't have to start doing this stuff no more. But I continued because I saw the awakening happening. I believe in what Top Cats was doing. I didn't mind. I don't have to share my lineage with nobody. This is personal for me. But I posted pictures of my ancestors. My ancestor was one of the first Harlem Globetrotters. A Mohawk Indian. I am a part of the, what you call the foundation. There was a foundation here before the European even came here. There was a foundation here before the European even came here. Because that Constitution, that come from my tribe people. We were on those first treaties in the 1600s. We are first contact nations up here. We got hit with the bullshit first. So I felt it was time to tell the story about the quote unquote Black Indians of the New England area. This thing has shit to do with the West Indian side. Y'all kept making it about that. Every time I came in your room, y'all kept talking about
She's not getting anywhere.
What about your husband? What about your West Indian? I said, well, what about it?
I gotta respond. Let me say something real
quick.
Like, I never mentioned her husband. I don't know why I never mentioned her husband one time. Like, why she even bringing that? Why you bring that up?
Because y'all talking about me without saying my name, but y'all saying my name all over Twitter.
We're not getting to the point, though. Get to the point, please.
Hold on. I just want to keep this professional and just straight to the point because I don't really want to waste nobody good time on a Sunday, and I got my brother Flex in here. Flex, the only thing, just to boil everything down to and make everything digestible, we shouldn't have to drop Black. You know what I mean? And be FBA or be American Indian.
Okay, so let me explain this, and I'm gonna finish up right here. Inside the indigenous community, we have a different type of conversation. I understand that. And even the last time I came in your space, I said it's probably going to take time for us to get to this point. Because the indigenous conversation, we're trying to get back sovereignty. So it's not just about reparations. We're trying to get restitution so we can get our land back.
It's deeper than I hear you. Can I say this though?
Bro, like you guys.
We hear you, but you missed out something. It's also about gatekeeping. It's about us gatekeeping. It's not just about reparations for us. It's about gatekeeping our culture.
Okay, but
and you're missing that.
You can get. I don't want your culture. I have my own tribe. I don't want it.
Just don't leave that out.
I don't want it.
Just why you articulate.
All right, let me say this here, then we're going to pass the mic back to Flex. Let me say this, we're going to pass the mic back to Flex.
Nobody's trying to take the culture. What are they talking about?
No, that's all good, sis. This the thing, man. The genealogy aspect of it, man, that we brought to it was to help out the claim, because FBA and ADOS had a reparations claim. So in order to help that out to see exactly what was owed to you, we asked that you do your family genealogy. Not necessarily even if it tie you back to an Indian tribe, because the Europeans that came here were black. It was different melanin. The Spaniards were black. They were in Florida, Texas, Louisiana. I know because they were my family. So that was the only part of the genealogy, was to help identify your claim, what was taken for you, so you can know what was owed. That was it. Was simple. You don't have to drop the bag.
And we respect that. I respect that. Like I'm 100% behind that, bro.
Hold on, bro. This conversation going somewhere where, bro, the point of this conversation was about FBA dropping black. It's really what this was about. Should we drop black? Yes. It's about everything else about Jenny. I mean, we do all that. We understand that. But this was about dropping black. And we're saying we don't have to drop black. We shouldn't drop black. Just so other people can pick the shit up. It's like, that's what we're talking about. That girl,
exactly.
That man told us to drop black, but she gets to keep her Jamaican heritage.
I'm not. How is a heritage the same as a race?
My recording.
Black is a race.
Black. You told me to drop black, but you still can claim.
I didn't tell you nothing. I don't know. I never talked to you. I never.
Black is a race for Black American.
Hold on, family. I don't want to turn this into love and Twitter Spaces. Let's just cut down to the meat and potatoes.
Told us to drop black, but she claims she can keep Jamaican.
Hey, let me say this here, bro. I'm gonna speak for the American Indians. Hey, let me say this, Mel, because you might have me crazy. There's no dropping black, bro. When y'all asked me to come over here, y'all was foundational Black Americans. I came, bro, because I identify with being a foundational Black American. When the room jumped off, I was there. You feel me? Y'all don't have to drop black. My cousin's black, my family black. All of us in this motherfucker got families that identify with black. We don't have to drop that, bro. That's coming from me, bro. And we move on as a family.
No, bro, Big Chief and Shan, this is nothing because listen, this is not about you. This conversation of blackness been going on.
Shan ain't saying what he's saying.
Hold on, bro. This conversation of blackness been going on, dealing with the Moors. Everybody been saying it don't have no weight, no standing in law and all that shit. This conversation been needed to happen. Shan, this is not about you. This shit been going on. So you just came on to Twitter and started, I guess, whatever, it feels some type of way, but this is not about you. This is nothing personal. This is a conversation that needed to happen. And we saying we shouldn't have to drop black. If we go to American Indian, we're going to include a whole bunch of motherfuckers that don't need to be included. It's really that simple. That's all we saying. That's why FBA is perfect. It's specific. I don't understand how people not getting that shit.
Can I go? Because I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut.
Hold on, let's go ahead, Flex.
Yeah,
and I agree. When we shouldn't drop black, if we start going with just the Native American or American Indian thing, that's going to include all the white $5 Indians. The American Indian thing, that has been completely co-opted at this point. Every white person claims to be some type of American Indian at this point. Almost every white person you meet who's been here for a certain amount of decades, they're going to claim they got some type of Creek or Cherokee. So that's already spoiled. So we shouldn't even touch that. But we do acknowledge that we do have Aboriginal lineage. But us using the title of American Indian, that's a dead issue right now. The FBA thing is the way to go because we've locked it up and nobody can remix it. That's why so many people have a problem with it, because it's a very exclusionary title, which is what we should have been doing. That's specific to black people who were on these plantations in America. Nobody can remix it. We were aggrieved as a black group, and we need to be compensated as a black group. It's that simple.
Can I go now, please?
Go ahead, Kiana. You got it.
Thank you. Thank you, Tariq. And the host, Sonny, Booby, and Big Chief. Shout out to Mel. What I wanted to say is that I've been noticing with Black, even FBA now, there are people who have been so entitled to our culture that they are now treating this like it's some type of membership or like it's some type of club. Like they are not getting that this is a lineage. You know, we had a conversation with someone last night who was saying, well, I was adopted by FBA, so that by default makes me an FBA. And then, you know, we get these people to come over, well, I was born here in America, so I technically I'm an FBA. And I'm just finding that to be a problem because they're not looking at the fact that our lineage is or our culture is what it is because of the very, very specific experiences that our ancestors went through to create this lineage. And I just find that to be very, very dishonest and very disrespectful when people come over here and they treat our lineage and our culture like it's some type of club they can join without their people having to put in even half the work that our people had to put in.
Yeah, that's them finessing. They know very much what we're doing. They know good and well that it's a lineage because we keep explaining that it's a lineage. The problem is because we're on code, and that's the power of being on code, nobody can do anything about it. If you acknowledge your lineage and you are codified with other people about your lineage, can't nobody do a damn thing about it. And because they're powerless to do anything about us being on code, they have to compartmentalize and remix what FBA is by talking about who can join, are their leaders. They're trying to act like it's some type of four-wall organization, knowing good and well that it's not. So that's a desperation move from a lot of these people because they cannot do anything about us acknowledging our lineage because now we've made a power move. We did something that a lot of groups don't do. We've named ourselves. When you name yourself, that's one of the first steps of taking control of power. We've designated ourselves and we set the rules to who we are. That's a power move. And this is why we have so many eyes on us right now because they're like, okay, where are they about to go with this? Because when you start making moves like that, you start making decisions that's going to empower your group. That's why so many people are very nervous now. All of these people who are non-FBA, all of a sudden they want to get on a kumbaya thing. Oh, we brothers, we all in this together. When you were the main ones calling us Akatas and Jarirs and Abids and Yank. You were the main ones calling us Akatas and Jarirs and Abids and Yank.
Because y'all hosted a room yesterday where y'all were talking about my husband. You were. I already heard what was said. I already know what was said. And then y'all were upset because some of your FBA people came into my space. I didn't go into y'all's space. My room was titled Indigenous Identities. It had no black anywhere in the title. You came into the space here as the other guys came in. And what did I ask you? I said, what is an FBA? Can you define it for me? You guys gave me 3 different definitions. One of y'all told me it includes the Moors, the African slaves, the Europeans. Like someone else said it was just Indians. So you guys got upset because y'all all were coming up with different definitions for it. And I said, well, what is the foundation? Because America had a foundation even before the European got here. America had a foundation even before the European got here. And what we want to make sure is that before 1870, like Chief Array explained, you have a lot of black colonizers coming in our bloodlines, in these tribal bloodlines. And if you don't go past 1870, you're not going to see who these Boule people are. You're not going to be able to see these people because right now today they're all black. They're all black. They're all black. Everybody's black today. They got black Africans now, black Asians now. Everybody's black. Black has now become a global identity. So at this point, this is my opinion, the proper way to gatekeep, it would be your indigenous bloodline, your indigenous bloodline, because nobody can walk into that. Nobody can shake that. But right now, everybody can be Black. Everybody can participate in Black culture. Why you think they singing drill music in Ghana right now? They got their own drill music in Somalia. Everybody's Black.
And everybody white can be Indian. Right, that's what I'm saying. You can participate in anybody's culture. But
guess what?
But look,
white people Black too.
Wait. You can participate in anyone's culture. We can't help that our culture is the most influential and the most popular. But you can participate in anybody's culture. That has nothing to do with it. A culture is nothing but a way of living. That's how you. That's all it is. Identifying a group.
Who told you that though?
That's what culture is. That's what culture. Language, food, dance. That's what culture is.
American Indian is the culture and way of living for Black Americans.
No, listen. No. You can listen. And this is another thing. Yes, you're indigenous. You're saying you have ties in New York. You're American. That's cool. But you also have a Jamaican side.
Okay, and I got to
listen. But listen, that's what the problem come in at. That's what I'm saying. That's what the problem come in at. We can't really.
Like y'all never said what the
Wait, Shane. You've been following FBA, so I don't know why you acting like you don't know what we're talking about. That was the whole point of ADOS and FBA. We're excluding outsiders. This is about the U.S. The U.S. That's it.
Okay, I never followed y'all.
No, I said FBA. I said FBA and ADOS. I didn't say.
I just heard about FBA last month.
But that's the point of contention, though. That's the point of contention, though.
It's like this here, man. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, bro.
Welcome to the Aboriginal channel. The Queens always get up there and let these fools have it. But just know that Tariq is the biggest hypocrite and clown in the community. He calling all these people, if you got half American and half Caribbean, tethers. But he won't call the white folks invaders, right? If you got half American and half European invader, what do you call that? The white people that call up, they don't have an extra name. They don't have the tether class or the tether shit. They're not called colonizing invader. They're called white supremacist. He says not all white folks are white supremacists. So the ones who aren't, they don't have an extra name. And that just goes to show how scary motherfuckers is, where you gotta go after your own people over the real fucking issue. So basically, I don't give a shit about what they talking about. I like what the sisters came on and said. She said her uncle was a Harlem Globetrotter. So we gonna start right there. What is a Harlem Globetrotter? Literally, Harlem means basically a mound by a river. That's what the word Harlem means, an elevation by a river. It basically means a mound by a river. And Globetrotter, why would they call them the Globetrotters? Because historically they always trotted the globe. So right here, we'll go over to Europe. Archaeologists find 5,000-year-old bones dyed red in huge burial mounds. It says analysis of 5,000-year-old DNA could help solve mystery of genetic changes in Europe. 2 tall skeletons were discovered in Serbia, and their extracted DNA might help to shed light on the mystery of genetic changes that took place in Europe 5,000 years ago. Polish archaeologists are hopeful that upon completion of genetic analysis, DNA from 2 men buried 5,000 years ago in 2 burial mounds in Serbia soon will help solve the mystery of genetic changes that took place in Europe at the time and enable them to create a general model of these changes. Because of their robust size, the men would have been 1.8 meters tall, which is 5'9". They are able to ascertain that men were not from the local population, who were much smaller in stature, about 5'2". These big men and their burial customs are known to have come from the dry, grassy plains of the steppes in what is now southern Russia and eastern Ukraine. Many of these burial mounds belonging to the nomadic Yamnaya people can be found in these areas. The problem with that is if they knew exactly who the mounds come from, then there's no big mystery. But they're trying to tell you that these mounds come from a grassy plains of steppes in which they're belonging to the nomadic Yamnaya people can be found in these areas. That's a lie. There was a big physical difference between these people and the people who settled Europe in the Neolithic times. There was a migration related to the steppe territories from nomads, mostly cattle herders. Such people generally created a military social system, like the Tatars. Once again, they try to tell you that the Tatars built all the things over here in the Americas, which is also a lie. But I'm basically showing you how and why they call the Indians globetrotters. So right here it says Bronze Age burial mound discovered in England. BBC News reports that a burial mound estimated to be 4,000 years old has been found at a construction site at Oxford University, under traces of St. Mary's College, which was built in the 15th century. Now, this is a common occurrence in colonization. Wherever Europeans have went and colonized, usually they would build on top of the people's cemetery because they changing the identity of the people, so they don't want those skeletons to be dug up, analyzed, and the truth to be known to the world. They don't want that to happen, so they will build colleges. And then so they built the St. Mary's College first in the 15th century, which was the 1400s, which was the time when the Teutonic Knights were colonizing the old Persians. A lot of people were being colonized in Europe by Europeans at this time, but it says it was built on St. Mary's College in the 15th century, and then later on the Oxford University was built there. So they keep building things on top of that same site. It says fragments of a skull and a robust jawbone have been recovered from the circular barrow made of reddish soils and gravel. We are now searching for the circular ditch which would have surrounded it and the remaining bones of the individual. Now, in American Indian culture, in mound builder culture, they'll build a mound, put a house on top of it, and put a ditch all the way around it for defenses called a moat. So right now it's talking about, that's what he's saying right there. It says, we are now searching for the circular ditch which would have surrounded it. It says, these intriguing discoveries strongly suggest a prehistoric burial mound was on this site thousands of years before Oxford even existed. So that's what they mean by globetrotters. The American Indians have a long, long history that we don't know nothing about. So let me add this on. They want to disclude Aboriginal people from the Caribbean or South America, Central South America, based upon what they're trying to get from the colonizer, which is reparations. If you're thinking about reparations, then you're colonized. And if you're pushing reparations, then you're pushing colonization, because reparations is based upon a false narrative, the same false narrative that has been put out that we are from Africa by way of the slave trade. So basically, my people is from Illinois, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and therefore the history of those people are very much connected to the people right down here along the Gulf, all the way down, all over here. These people's connected. Long, long connections. I mean, you can go back to the last ice age when all this stuff up here was pretty much ice. You had people down here in the Florida and Louisiana, all this area down here. And then the majority of the people at the time were down in Central and South America. But they want to cut off the people down there by saying this is about the U.S. Now, the U.S. is a colonized term. If you saying the U.S., I mean, you must well have an American flag outside of your front door of your house, you know, and that's how you rocking. But listen, so yeah, we connected. We definitely connected to all the Aboriginal people in Central and South America. I'll never say anything to the contrary. Through the history books, which has all been a lie. So therefore, if it's a lie, then what's the truth? If it's a lie, then what's the truth?